Well, welcome everybody to RevTech. And today, my name is Greg Dickinson. I am the CEO of Omedym, and I've got with me today one of our customers, Paul Noone of
Hey,
Higher
Greg.
IQ. Hey, Paul. Thanks for taking the time to join us, and I think people will get a lot of value out of this session here at RevTech. So let's get right into it. And I know Paul, right, as the CEO of Higher IQ, you guys are impacting your revenue, and the reason you think that's unique and different is that we all know, right? We spend a lot of time that the buyer's different. It's a modern buyer, a change buyer, unique buyer,
Yeah.
right? They do more on their own, 60-70% of the buyer's journey, and you guys needed to figure out ways to impact your revenue. And what you told me you did that you think is pretty unique is you're using modern technology, Omedym, to be able
Yeah.
to work on real opportunities instead of spreading yourself thin and working on those that are not necessarily real buyers. So Paul, how are you doing that?
Well, Greg, first of all, thanks a lot. I appreciate you taking the time to sort of talk to us. Yeah, what's interesting to me about this whole journey and what we're doing using Omedym is really about putting our best foot forward. It's about communicating what we know is essential to the buying journey as early in the process as possible. And while this sounds difficult for any salesperson who's ever been out there, to let go a little bit and put that information where customers are going or where prospective customers are going is the most important thing I think we can do. So what we're doing with Omedym is we're really putting as much information in the video as we can, as what you guys refer to as a content portal. What we really refer to as just a tab of video frequently asked questions on the website. And we have, really answering what we think is the most essential part of what people are trying to understand. Because what we do is about hiring, what we do is a relatively competitive space. We're really interested in sharing what it is about our particular technology that makes it different from everything else they're going to look at. Essentially, that's what people are going to ask us when they eventually get to us. But what we're trying to do is say, you're looking at this space. Let me tell you what's essential about Higher IQ, what's meaningful in your journey about Higher IQ as quickly as we possibly can. Because one way or another, they're going to find out. They might find out from a competitor. They might find out from someone else, from what they might surmise based on some articles they've read. What I want to do is actually put my face or somebody in the company on video explaining what's important in a short, brief way that we inevitably cover with every demonstration, every meeting. And that's really been critical to improving that dialogue, or it's actually a pre-dialogue. It's when the customer comes to looking for us, they want those answers, and when they get those answers, we get to engage with them at a much higher, more engaged, and much more meaningful level.
Right. So let's peel that back a little bit, right? So I think the first thing I'm hearing you say is that we, right, you, me, and everyone else in the world is getting ready to buy something, right? It doesn't matter where we are. Where someone tells us, hey, go look at this thing called Higher IQ. We want to hire people better. We want to, and they find you guys on the website. They go to your website, and traditionally there'd be a lot of glitz and glitter and marketing stuff. But if they really want to know about Higher IQ, they want to see the product, they want to dive in, they would have to opt in. You've changed that, Paul, and you said, hey, we've got this technology called Omedym. People can get to our videos, right? Our message from the CEO, message from VP of sales, etc. And they can ask whatever questions they want, that you provide them with a roadmap of questions, if you will. Here's the top 10 things that people traditionally want to know about our space, about our company. And then through our technology as well, right, you're able to provide a set of phrases or topics that allow them, the people that want to ask questions, the people that want to follow a path, or the people that are clickers who want to click on topics. So you've kind of said, hey, let's move that experience of meeting with a salesperson, and they may not be qualified. Let's let them self-qualify, self-discover much earlier in the buying journey. And Paul, that's what you're doing, right? You kind of changed it, flipped it on its head a little bit.
It's 100% true. And we're old dogs in this thing, Greg, right? We've been here a long time. And there used to be a point where we were, as the salespeople, as the organization, we were the gatekeepers for all of that particular information. And now what I find that to be is just an impediment to people getting to an understanding where they can make a decision.
Right.
So what you guys have done for us is given us the ability to give them that information in a way that makes sense to them. I think what you mentioned about asking specific questions, we're trying to anticipate those questions and allow that particular buyer go and answer those questions on their own so they can make the decision of whether this is the right thing. And I think one of the results of that, Greg, is that we get to a decision maker much quicker. I actually don't care. I'd love for everybody in the world to be checking out all of those questions and all those answers. It's only going to really be meaningful to the people who are about to make that decision, right? I doubt very seriously, I think our numbers probably prove that out, is that people come to the website, but they don't bother isn't the right word, but they don't have to engage us. They don't have to, they can get the answers that they need. And when they're ready to engage with us, they're at a different level altogether. They're really trying to understand, okay, what is the last proof point I need, not what is the first proof point.
Yeah, Paul,
right?
I think that's spot on, right? I think what you if people on this video they're watching today as an audience, think about them, pause for a second, think about yourself. How do you behave if you're an appliance, a vacation or whatever, right? You early on, listen, let's face it, right? I love salespeople. I've been one, you've been one, Paul, but we don't want to talk to sales day one.
No.
And we don't have to, right? And what you said is, hey, I can help educate, take away friction, that annoying opt-in or annoying schedule a meeting for your inside salesperson to ask you 20 questions about budget and who are you and what's the decision going to be made and who's signing the check, which is, by the way premature because that buyer is saying, hey, I just want to know if HireIQ could add value to my company. Bingo, right?
Right. And in a lot of ways, you see people trying to do this in two dimensions, on their website. They're trying to take every page and answer every question, but really there are some fundamental questions they need to hear from a person. I think in the old days, and actually probably even today, a lot of the website content is purposely vague. They want it to be applicable to everybody and every question. We're a little different, and what we're trying to do with your tool is be really specific about why people come to us, and not throw out so many hooks that we're going to snag you on something. Right. We believe that there's a really specific reason that people use our tool. We know that they're effective using this particular thing. We want to share that as early in the process. We're hoping asking that question is really at the forefront of their mind, and we're again meditated in our way that we answer those questions. And without your tool, we would be trying to do this the old-fashioned way.
Traditional, old-fashioned. Yeah, but Paul, here's the other thing. A couple of weeks ago when you and I talked was that the other thing is that people want to see themselves in your software, right? They want to become emotionally attached to that. And you can't do that by reading a 2 or 3 or 5 paragraphs on, here's how IRQ works and here's how IRQ does this. Think about if you were buying a car, you want to sit in the car, you want to feel the car, right? You want to get experience. And that's the same thing you said to me was, Greg, the other thing is I could spend all day long answering questions. What's your question? What's your answer? What's your question? But when I show it in the product, you guys want to know how IRQ does this, or can it do this? Let me show you. They become engaged, right? Because they're going to be using your software someday and they want to see themselves in that seat, if you will, test driving your software. Yeah,
no question, Greg. I think the other thing that we talked about was this concept of trust in the selling process. So, what I'm trying to do is make sure that we're not hiding anything. We're putting as much information as we can available to that particular prospective customer. And I think that the trust part of, particularly this last year, trust has been maybe the most important thing. I want to work with a vendor who understands me. I want to work with a partner, not even a vendor. I want a partner who lives in the space that I live in. And I want to understand that he understands before I engage with him or her or them. And that's really the thing that I think is sort of connected most to what we're doing at HireIQ, is that we're trying to connect with that customer through those particular questions. Right. And what's interesting, particularly about your stuff, is that we're not trying to be perfect, right? We're not trying to be studio produced, video. We're trying to tell you, if you sat with me right now and you asked me that question, what's special about HireIQ? I would sit here just like this and answer those questions.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
what I wouldn't do is go to a studio, get perfectly lit, be perfectly suited up and everything like that and answer those questions.
Yeah.
So try to do it in this honest and sincere way. And that's actually that was sort of a journey for us to be comfortable in sharing that information. It is no different. What we're trying to do is say, look, here's the most immediate way to get this particular data. And if you get that data, you're more and it connects with you, you're more likely to want to partner with Hierarchy.
Exactly. Yeah, Paul, I mean, you've hit on that nail on the head, right? You guys have said we need scale, we need leverage. My buyer wants digital, on demand, and authentic. So what you've done is you started off this call by saying you've extended your best and brightest by being able to message around hierarchy or machine learning or how you help in value, where that statement or that demo is comes from different people. It's authentic, it's real.
Yeah.
And heck, Paul, when we first started using Omedym a year ago, you were reading from a piece of paper and trying to be scripted. And we were telling you, Paul, survey says, that doesn't necessarily work. So I want to ask you another question though. So
sure.
You guys have, Omedym type of the funnel, right? People come to your website, they can click on, video FAQ. It brings them into a whole bunch of the Omedym platform content. Paul, after someone's gone through that experience, right? A quote unquote, I mean, you're using it to disqualify as much as you are to qualify, but someone that's qualified that then says,
sure.
wow, I want to talk to hierarchy. Is that person different? Are they a different buyer? Are they more engaged? Are they smarter? What are you seeing there? Because I think that would be a huge advantage.
Oh, it's unbelievable. I think, one of the things that we've observed certainly in the last couple of years and this year or more specifically is that customers are, when Greg, we're not necessarily reaching out to them. They're reaching back out to us. So they've gotten all of their questions answered. Now they're ready to engage. Wow. And, we'll even, by the way, one of the questions that we answer on that is how do you engage with hierarchy? Is there a way to pilot this stuff? Is there a way, if I have one more step that I feel would make me comfortable, how could you do this? Rather than talk to me about that, I answer that question, right? So they're coming to me saying, I'm ready to get going.
Yep.
That's a lot different than tell me what you do, Paul. Tell me what hierarchy does, salesperson.
Right.
Hey, I've heard about you guys. Is what I'm hearing correct? We hope we're answering all of those questions before that, and which of course, requires us to constantly review and go, are we answering that question correctly? Are we misleading anybody? And so again, your platform allows us to make changes to put the most specific things up there.
Just every day, right? I mean, every day. As people ask a question and you look at, holy mackerel, the number one question people are asking is X, Y, or Z. Let me go look at my response where I want to update that. Or let me look at the data of the engagement and make better informed everyday content, kind of continue that engagement, that digital, engagement journey. The other thing, Paul, that I think, true for your space as well, is when someone buys hierarchy, right, for a major company with a major help desk, there's not one buyer, there's many buyers. So not only can that first person come engage, they can invite other people, and then now the quote unquote buying team is well informed and they've used it kind of for consensus, for buy-in, and said, hey, let's go look at hierarchy. We've checked all the boxes. They do what we need to do. And the different buyers have been able to do that in an automated fashion. Boy, that's got to give you scale and decrease the sales cycle.
This is one of the things you don't want to do as a CEO of companies you well know is to just scale, straight line, right? You don't want to put a salesperson every time it looks like you've got, an order of magnitude more sales, you're going to add more, an order of magnitude more salespeople. So really what we're trying to do is as much as we can with the customer success team, build out this customer success teams, make sales sort of the first point of engagement, but not the end point, right? It's like, it's not the, it's not the goal, it's just an event. Engaging with us is the first event that you're going to do, or going really to the website and having all of those questions answered that are running through your mind about these kinds of platforms. And then the time that you engage with us is really about how are we going to use this? How is my team going to, come to it? How are they going to experience it? And, how is that going to be as smooth a transition from current process to next level process? And that's exciting. Way better discussion, right? I don't have to talk to them about what do we do and how we're different. We've tried to answer those questions up front. And customers, I think, given like, in our space, we touch almost all of the big players in that space. One program or another, we're working with them. So what they're trying to do to us is understand, okay, is this rocket science? Are they putting the most impressive credentialed people on every project I do? Or is it approachable, understandable? And we're doing everything we can to break that down. So we're communicating to them that this is an easy, approachable process and technology.
Yeah. So you're touching as many people as you can. The ones that like what they hear, like what they see, like the frictionless, kind of modern. I think also you're using modern technology and you're selling modern technology, so they kind of make that association that here's a company that's current. Paul, I know you can't give specific numbers, but 2020 just ended, and my understanding is you had a pretty good year, right?
Yeah,
so repeat that.
We had we did have a good year. I would say we had a great year. Yeah, and of course, if you look back on the year and you look back, you abstracted yourself from the details, you'd say, God, that must have been a tough year. It was a tough year, right? Our customers were put in a difficult place. They all, we work with lots and lots of brick and mortar call centers. And one day we got a call and said 80,000 people are being sent home. So we're thinking, what does that mean? How do they hire? How do they hire the traditional ways? And realizing, of course, that we are the answer to that question. We're being able to engage virtually, be able to impact those people at the end point. Whether it's at home or as they walk into a call center and try to apply for a job. All of that was really meaningful. So, to your point, we increased our sales. The market was moved in such a way that was meaningful to what we do as a company. Virtual, async, around the clock, time, agnostic, really across time zones. And there's another thing, and I've been talking a lot about this in the recent weeks, is if we think about who our user is, these talent acquisition folks, these individuals who are responsible for making the hires, they've been sent home. They're predominantly women. They all have families in some form, and what we're doing is giving them the opportunity to work from home, to see all of the data about a candidate before they engage, and to make sure anytime they engage, they are actually engaging with the right person, with the right skill set, with the understanding that they'll succeed if hired. That is incredibly important these days. And it used to be, the async was the important part. It's not. It's actually getting to the right individual is so important. That has been meaningful. And therefore, servicing around the clock. Our customers are in the Philippines, they're in India, they're in Latin America, they're in South America, they're in Europe. They're in every place. You know what? I don't have a sales team that touches every one of those time zones. And I don't want people up on it. And frankly, I'm trying to be as good to my team as I possibly can right now, meaning let's give them as much peace and grace as we possibly can when times are as difficult as they are. So in a way, I don't think we could have done what we did without Omedym, because it just allowed us to extend our organization in a meaningful way.
It sounds like what you guys do for your customers, we're doing for you, right? Your people are, you need scale, you need 24/7, you need to get to the right person at the right time, and you're using that technology. So Paul, good year, great year. I'd love as a CEO of Omedym to say, that's all because of us. I know it wasn't, but would you fairly say that Omedym helped impact your revenue in 2020?
Oh, there's no question about it, Greg. We're excited about working with you. We were from the minute we understood the premise. The engagement is direct, and your team is the model that everybody wants to follow, is overwhelmingly supportive, right?
It is all about the team. It is about.
You have a question and boom, you get the answer. You're struggling with somebody and somebody says, well, let's get on Zoom. Let's walk through it with you. That's what we're trying to do as well.
Beautiful. All right. Paul, thank you very much. I think this will be a lot of great data here for the people watching at Impact 2020. So Paul, thank you very much. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you, sir.